Good evening, my loves. Welcome to this week's edition of Deanna's Coaching Gem. If you are new here, welcome to Destination Deanna. Please consider this your self help learning library for all things love. Okay, we talk about dating, we talk about relationships, communication, intimacy, everything that you need in order to upgrade and improve your love experiences, right? And at the request of some of the members in my membership community, um, I am preparing to do this whole kind of how to flirt that has actually grown into a really cool series, right? But I do not want to cheat you all. Like, the more I prepare, the more downloads I'm getting, and I want to give you all of the information. So I kind of did a last minute pivot, put up a poll in the Love Attraction community, which is my free Facebook group. And I did a poll and I asked them about a few topics. And this one was the topic that they chose. So if you want to be able to weigh in on the topics that we discuss, you got to join the Love Attraction community. So let me already say hello. My amazing husband is checking in. Hi, Will. Hey, my bro Shaka Pitts. Congratulations on your new show. I really had a good time. It had all of the good vibes, good conversation. So congrats. Feel free to drop your link, Shaka, to your channel and your show. Okay, my mom is there. Okay, all right, mom. Alice is here checking in. Oh, anytime, bro. Anytime. I will be there as much as I can. So for tonight's topic, okay, how to learn someone without living with them. And also in the Love Attraction community, we had a conversation, we had a post, I think it was last week, about like, is it necessary like to live with someone? Like, can you not live with someone and marry them still, or like be in a long-term relationship and it be successful like without you living with them first? I have my opinion about that. We're gonna get into it, right? So what's my intention with tonight? I want to help you rid yourself of the excuse that you can't marry a person until you live with them. Yes, it's a bold statement, I know, but that is my intention. I want to help you rid yourself of the excuse. Okay? But seriously, I'm sharing some ways that you can get to know a person intimately on a deeper level without living with them. Okay? So that's what I'm doing. And what I'm not doing, so you can not waste your time with the backlash. I'm not arguing with you all about whether or not it's right or wrong to live together before marriage. I have a preference that I have formed from experience, personal experience, right? And I don't desire to be the morality police. So I'm not here to do that. So if that's what you want to do, that's on you. That's fine. Okay. So that's not my intention tonight. So I'm going to cover two things to help you all learn someone without living with them. I'm going to cover like how you can get to know someone deeply without doing that. And then I'm also going to cover a few things that increase closeness, right? So pairing those two, I think, can help you achieve knowing someone deeply enough in order to move forward with a long-term relationship, marriage, without living with them. Okay. So let's start first with getting to know someone deeply. Yeah. So the first thing is you have to remove the limiting belief that you must live together, right? This is a limiting belief that is reinforced over and over again with conversations, with memes, with social media, with everything except facts and statistics, right? Because the statistics show that living together prior to marriage, you are more likely to divorce. That's a statistic, right? You're more likely, if you live together and get married, you are more likely to divorce. So that already tells you, just statistically and facts wise, it's not necessarily a good decision. But I want to encourage you, if you can remove the limiting belief enough to at least be open to the idea of trying to get to know someone and developing a certain level of intimacy without living with them. So let's, for the sake of argument tonight, just so you can kind of hear everything that I'm sharing, let's remove that limiting belief that you must live together. Okay? The second thing is, you need to spend time with them in varying environments and circumstances. One of the main reasons why people think you need to live together is because we have this thought that you're not really going to know them. Like, you're not going to see the real them. They're going to be able to hide themselves. And until you live with them, you're not going to get the authentic self. Okay. I mean, I understand that. However, the way around that, or an alternative to that, is to see them in a variety of environments. So serious things, not so serious things, planned things, family events, work events, different activities, different types of dates, circumstances where they have to solve an issue, circumstances where they don't have a whole lot of notice before something, circumstances where they're not favorable, it's not something they desire, right? Close spaces, right? Seeing how they organize things, like spending time with them in varying things that will show you different parts of their personality, different parts of how they process things and information, different opportunities for you to see how they react to different stimuli. That's really going to give you a holistic view of who they are more deeply, right? And the more you do this, the more time you spend with them, the varying environments and circumstances, the more like holistic the picture will be of that person, right? Number 3, oh, and do I swear by this? Travel abroad with them for at least 7 days, though, like a full week. Let me tell you why. When you travel abroad with someone, first of all, you're going to see them in a variety of circumstances, right? There's going to be so many different things that could go wrong. You're going to have to deal with different languages. You're going to have to deal with a variety of people. You're going to have to deal with packing, like how do they choose things. You're going to have to deal with like how they are in culture, how they eat, like you'll get to see a lot of aspects that you would see when you live with someone, and it's in an even more heightened like environment. It's a great way to see how someone is under pressure. It's a great way to see how someone thinks on their feet. It's a great way to see how a person treats people too. Like, are they rude to people at the airport? Do they treat, workers and staff like they're beneath them? Like, all of these different things. Are they disrespectful to other cultures? You'll get to see some of their hygiene habits, how they prepare, you'll get to see so many different things. And I'm sorry, I was ignoring the comments. Okay, see, bro feels me. Traveling abroad is a hack. Look, traveling exposes everything. Yes, that's a good point too. It is a great way to see if someone will follow. And on the flip side, it's a great way to see someone's leadership skills as well. True story. My husband and I, before we were married, we were traveling abroad together to the Maldives. No lie. Everything, learning someone in the same space can create so much tension and stress. Absolutely. So we were traveling to the Maldives, right? And everything that could have went wrong did on this trip. And I mean, we were kind of newly engaged. We had only been engaged for like I think 2 to 3 months, right? So we're still we're not living with each other, right? We are learning each other. We've already like committed to marriage and we're kind of just preparing, like really kind of dotting our I's and crossing our T's. But I mean, his passport was stolen. So he had to get a replacement passport. Okay. We missed a flight. We had to get rebooked on a flight. We missed a day. Like we had the wrong COVID test at the time and had to get COVID tests. So we literally had so many things go wrong, but it was an opportunity for both of us to see how we handled stress, how we were able to think on our toes, whether or not we would be resilient and resourceful, whether or not he would take the lead, whether I would follow, whether I would be a good support, whether, I was going to be blaming him or upset about his passport. Like, yes, honey, everything. Wrong COVID test. The Maldives required a certain type of COVID test, and we got the wrong one. So we literally had to get new COVID tests at the airport. Like it was crazy, but it literally cemented how well we worked together. It literally showed us both how we were under pressure, how we were thinking on our toes, how we talked to each other when we were frustrated, how we supported each other when things looked like they weren't going well, how we pulled resources together and figured things out. I mean, we had expenses come up that we had not planned for, right? So we had a lot of things happening. So that's why I say travel abroad, like for at least 7 days though, enough for them to get over like, okay, jet lag, get over the nostalgia of where you are, and they're like letting their guards down and you can see it all. What a blessing it was for you to support me leading. Yes, it all gave us a platform to thrive and make it happen. It really did. I think I felt more solidified in our decision to get married, seeing how we were able to handle things like that. So, traveling abroad, right? Number 4, people have broken up from travel. Yes, they have. I know married couples that don't travel together. They do not travel together. That's wild to me, but that's how they exist. They just can't do it. So, number 4, spend time with their family. Okay. A person can try to I don't want to say hide, but maybe they can try to keep certain things to be revealed for later, but not when you get around their family. Their family ain't trying to impress you. Their family is not trying to put up a facade. They just going to be them. And they're going to treat the person you're dating like their authentic self, right? So pay attention. Spend time with their family. See their familial habits, their customs. Listen for clues about how they live and how they conduct themselves. Everything that I'm sharing is really about, okay, some of the comforts of living with the person, you're going to see things just by means of close proximity. When you don't have that, you need to have more of an observational eye to everything. You need to pay attention to interactions, their friends, their families, circumstances, all of that stuff, right? So spend time with their family, go to family outings, listen to those family stories, see how they treat the person, all of that. Yes. See, listen, I was trying like to appear like completely bougie. Wasn't happening once he met my family. He seen Le Ghetto. So he got to see the other side. It was tough until his big auntie called, was like, come here, wink in front of you. Right. Like the family gonna tell it. So all you need to do is listen, keep your eyes open, observe, right? So number 5. Listen, it is what it is. Number 5, ask personal questions that otherwise you might just learn via living together. So like their habits, pet peeves. Like I ask people really weird questions like, yo, how you brush your teeth? Right? For one, you learn so much about a person because how they do one thing is how they do everything, right? So learning a person's process for everyday mundane things that they're not preparing an answer for that. Right? No one is thinking, oh, let me have my perfect teeth brushing regimen outline for when somebody asks me. No, so if you ask them questions just about everyday things that they do, they're going to be truthful about it for the most part. I mean, unless they're like a psychopath, but for the most part, they're going to be honest. They're not going to think there's any ulterior motive. So just really listen and pay attention, right? So make sure that you're asking like more personal questions. Whereas like living with someone might expose certain things, you have to be more intentional about what you're asking, right? And paying attention to how they actually answer it. So see, that's another cheat code. Family gonna have pictures on the wall. They probably gonna talk about ex-girlfriends, ex-fiancés. They're gonna give you the tea. They listen. Yup, uncool pics. So you're gonna see how your kids will look. Right? You gotta pay attention. Bug teeth, bad school pics. Yup, we need to see it all. I need to know. Right? So ask your personal questions, right? Like really get more in depth about it. Really think about the mundane things, right? That wouldn't just come up. They would come up if you observed them, if you lived with someone. But if not, you got to be intentional about asking more questions to discover some of those things, right? Number 6, plan sleepovers at each other's places. Like, and this should be, if we're talking about, you're at the point where you have to decide, like, if you're going to live with somebody, you know that like marriage is kind of on the table. You're like on that path. I mean, I'm assuming that you're having weekend dates, you're spending evenings together, even if you're not being intimate. My husband and I went on weekend trips, did lots of things before we actually were intimate. So it's fine. You can still plan sleepovers and things like that if you're abstaining. I wouldn't say do it too frequently, and I wouldn't say do it too early if you're abstaining. But if you are being, physical and sexual in that way, plan sleepovers, right? That way you do at least get a preview. You'll get some. You'll see their place. You'll see how they organize things. You'll see how they go to sleep, how they wake up. Like, you should at least be trying to have exposure to those things. And I'm just, okay, y'all is just bantering back and forth. I don't gotta jump in there. And number 7, and this is the final one under like getting to know someone. And obviously there's other things, but these are the things that came to mind that I think anyone can do. And it's not hard, right? It's just being mindful about it. But number 7 is discuss casual daily things. When you live with a person, you're going to say, how was your day? How was work? You're going to learn their routine. Like, you're going to have the casual banter. So be intentional about making sure you have that conversation. Just because you don't live with the person, you should still know, like, do they have coffee in the morning? Right? Are they the type that, they got to brush their teeth before they come talk to anybody? Like, what is their morning routine? You don't have to live with someone to know these things. These are things that if you're growing in intimacy with the person, you're getting to know someone deeply on an intimate level, you should be able to ask these things. Tell me about your morning. Like, what did you do this morning? Like, walk me through it. I know my husband and I, we were literally on FaceTime doing everything before we got married and lived together. So, from showers sometimes, like makeup routines, skincare routines, getting dressed. At every point, we kind of casually shared our day, shared daily things with each other. So, you're just going to have to be more intentional about that because it's not just going to happen. You're going to have to ask the questions. You're going to have to FaceTime. You're going to have to make the time to share your casual daily things. Oh my God. Yes. Mom started dishing all the tea. Yes, she did. It creates opportunities for those discussions. Yes. And honey, chime in, because what I'm actually thinking too is something to keep in mind. If you're not going to live with the person, you could some of the same strategies, tips for long distance relationships can apply. Because the secret to a successful long distance relationship is being intentional about creating a closeness, right? About some of the things that would naturally happen as you live with them, you creating them, whether it's seeing each other more often, dating more often, all of those things, which I'm going to talk about in a minute for increasing closeness. So, play the video game. That's cool too, right? Sharing things like that. We used to watch movies together, right? Be on the phone, doing like little mundane things. I'm fixing tea, I'm telling him how I do it. He's making his coffee, telling me how he does it. So, learning our different daily habits and different things like that, right? Being intentional about that. So, a quick recap, right? So, the 7 things that you can do to get to know someone deeply that you don't have to live with them. Number one is remove the limiting belief that you must live together. You don't have to do that in order to develop deep intimacy. So, don't tell yourself that. Number two, spend time with them in varying environments and circumstances so you can see their different moods, their different reactions, all of that. Number three, ultimate cheat code, travel abroad with them for at least 7 days. You are going to see so much. You're going to see them tired, angry, hungry, upset, disappointed, lost. You're going to see it all. So you will get a very good depiction of how they are, how they handle stress, all of that, how they treat people, everything. Number four, spend time with their family. Family's another cheat code. Family's not in it to lie to you or to misrepresent. They are just being themselves. Pay attention, right? Observe it all. Number five, ask personal questions that otherwise you might just learn via living together. So be more intentional about the questions you're asking to get to know them. 6, plan sleepovers, right? That way you can see how they go to bed, how they wake up, you can see how they live, their habits, all of that. And number 7, you want to discuss casual daily things. The things that you might just learn because you all live together and you see it, you want to discuss those things. Make them a part of your day. Tell them about your morning routine, your skincare routine, your nightly habits, how you like to do your dishes, how you put away your clothes, how your food is organized, how your pantry, like all of those things. Share that, right? So that's that. Let me see the questions before I get to the second part, which is increasing closeness. And that's, a little bit shorter. I may have to learn to make coffee. You know what? I do too. I do too. I'm gonna find us some resources. My husband's a coffee drinker too. It's telling when she is willing to explore the things that you like to do. Absolutely. This is another reason why it's so important to be sharing like some of these casual daily things, right? I'm a tea drinker. My husband's a coffee drinker. Like, we shared how we like those things, why we like those different things, right? Okay, yes, I agree. I'm sorry I can't see you got to grant StreamYard access. Um, I'm assuming that's Orseno. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Well, my wife not only watches football with me, she took me to a game. Absolutely, right? So that was just paying attention to his pastimes, what he was passionate about, him sharing that with me, times when we weren't on the phone and he's telling me what he did with his free time, like learning that helped me to be able to like tailor experiences for him, right? So, increasing closeness. This is not a comprehensive list. These were just like three things that kind of came to mind as I was kind of preparing this. So, and I see I forgot one. So, let me just add that in there real quick. And I kind of talked about this a little bit. So, okay. So, I'm just going to put that up there. All right. So, increasing closeness. I'm just going to give you three things that kind of came to mind as I was thinking about not only knowing this person well enough to move forward with marriage, right, without living with them, but also making sure that you can develop a closeness, right? That's not surface level. So, what are a few things that we can do? Yeah. Oh, yeah. We just went to his company party and he won a coffee maker. So, shout out to his company. So, I don't got to learn. But yes, increasing closeness. Number one, spend a lot of time together. Now, when you live with each other, you will count a lot of things as time together. Sitting on the couch, just talking. Like you will count a lot of just being in each other's presence as time together. So when you don't live together, you need to make sure that the effort is there to kind of double up on that time, right? Lots of time together, almost to the point that you could get sick of them, right? Because when you live with somebody, they're there all the time. You kind of don't escape them. Maybe you get a break when you go to work or you're running errands or whatever, but you're together so much. When you don't live with each other, it's harder to kind of build up like annoyance. So you kind of want to do that. Like you want to spend a lot of time with them. You want to see when you're going to get annoyed, when you're going to need a break. Spend more time with them, right? Number two, to increase your closeness, be more intentional with dates. When you live with someone, everything's a date. Oh, we going to the grocery store. We're going to shoot the shit while we're there. We're going to crack jokes. We're going to all those things, right? So everything you do together feels like a date, not when you don't live together. When you don't live together, you need to be more intentional about it. So maybe planning the grocery store date where it's like, hey, let's go to the grocery store, let's shop together, and I'm going to cook a meal. So that kind of gives you the full experience. Okay, let me see how this person shops. Let me see, how they prepare a meal. So you still get some of the experience that would come with living with them, but it's just through intentional dating, right? Doing activities that are going to help you learn this person on a different level. We're grown now, right? We can't be movieing each other to death and even dinner to death. Like do some activities. There's plenty of things. You can do paint nights. You can do karaoke nights, trivia nights. You can do all sorts of different activities. Archery. Me and my husband go play games at the arcade and just like talk about our childhood because there's nostalgia going on. We're having a good time. Our competitive nature is there. Like, be more intentional with your dates. Don't be boring about it. Have the intention that you want to be exposed to who this person is more and more on deeper levels. And you want to show more of yourself as well. You want them to know you on the deeper, intimate level. So be more intentional with the dates. And then finally, discuss more personal things. And when I say personal, I mean like intimate and meaningful things. Again, when you're living with someone, those couch conversations, those showers together, those nights laying in bed, different things, you're going to have pillow talking. You're going to do all of those things that kind of just naturally occur as you're living together. But when you don't, you got to be intentional and you got to discuss more personal things. So don't be surface level. You have more of an incentive to be deeper, right? Talk about more intimate things, talk about more meaningful things. All right. So that was the discussion for tonight, right? Let me go ahead, like I always do, and open it up for Q&A. So obviously, if you have any questions about anything I covered, let me know if I should clarify anything, or if you have a specific scenario going on that you want me to discuss. If not, and the lesson was great, it's still open Q&A for anything that anybody wants to ask or any situation you want me to weigh in on. Now would be your time to do it. Thank you so much, bro. This was, the community voted on this topic. They had asked for it previously, so it was kind of on my list of things to get to, and it just worked out that I did it tonight. So I'm hoping that this is helpful and at least can present people with at least the alternative, like not feeling like they absolutely have to live with someone in order to have a deep connection, in order to get to know them deeply. My husband and I did not live together before we got married. And I'm not saying we got it all figured out, but we're pretty happy. We're close. We don't regret the decision. I don't know, honey, you're in the chat. If you want to share anything about like the benefits of not living together first, or share any tips or anything about your experience from the male perspective. I mean, I know I was paying attention to everything. I wasn't shy to ask questions or tell you about my preferences. So if there's anything you want to share, honey, I'll definitely put it on the screen. Facebook user, I don't know. I see you saying I'm here. I'm glad you are. And I don't know what you're sorry for. There's nothing to be sorry about. You made it. You're here. We're happy to have you. I'll wait a couple minutes because I know sometimes y'all be typing slow and I'll be ready to log off. Oh, it's Bree. Okay. Hey, Kalandra. Hey, Bree. Okay. Thank you. My ladies. Okay. There's Bree. All right. Any questions, y'all? I went through the lesson, so this is just regular Q&A time. I know you voted for Q&A, Bree. So if there's any questions you guys wanted to bring up, go on ahead. While I give you guys that minute to type your questions, I'm going to go ahead and just review the coaching gem. So you can learn someone intimately without living with them. You just have to be intentional with your dates, your questions, and your observations. So I hope that that's what was conveyed through the information that I gave. And I hope that this can encourage, more of you to know that you don't have to. It's not a requirement. It is not the key to success. It's not the only way you can tell whether or not you can have a loving marriage and long life with a person. You can be intentional about how you date, um, how you ask questions, what questions you ask, and what you observe to make a well-informed decision about that. All right, let's see. And I think we got some questions now. Let's get to the questions. Oh, the lesson was how to learn someone without living with them. So I discussed, um, I gave 7 ways that you can kind of get to know a person, but then I also gave 3 things to do in order to really get close, like an intimate, without having to live with them. So yes, go back and rewatch, Bree. Is there a physical intimacy timeline? Um, I did a video called like what you need before having sex with him. Now, obviously, that is from a woman's perspective. I'm literally telling the women um what they need to see from a man before they should entertain physical intimacy in that way, right? But the more I think about it, some of it is very unisex and universal, right? I think, not to, categorize like all men are the same, but I think we can probably agree that men would like a shorter timeline for physical intimacy, right? I think physical intimacy should be the last thing we're doing. I think there should be genuine general interest. Are we physically liking to look at each other? Do we like being in each other's presence? Can we enjoy conversation? Can we enjoy spending time with each other? Those general things I think should be there first. And then, do we align with what we want? So, do I want a marriage and you want a cuddle buddy for when you're bored? Like, there should be some alignment with where we're going and what we want. And there should be some investment, right? Investment of time, um, investment of energy, effort. Um, I think all of that should be present before there is physical intimacy, but I can't give you an exact timeline because it depends on how much time you're spending with the person. If you're seeing them once a week, I mean, I think you should take a couple months. If you're seeing them 3-4 times a week, that kind of bumps the timeline up. You're doing more, you're probably investing more, you're getting to know more. So I think it's based on, how you're investing, how you're spending your time together. I know that's not an exact answer, and even the ladies hate that I won't give them an exact answer on that, but there's too many variables. So I hope that helps. Brianna says, Shaka, what do you think a man should do for a woman to qualify you? What would you respect? Qualify like pick? That's an interesting question. I'll leave that for Shaka. Kalandra, if you're dating someone and you notice something that concerns you, how would you approach discussing it? Concerns me for my safety. If it's for my safety, I'm discussing it immediately. I'm going to try to be mindful of how I bring it up as to not be offensive, and to do it in a way that creates an environment for talking, right? For them to be comfortable. And I would just share, hey, I don't feel too comfortable with such and such. Is that, a habit? How, what causes that? Or it really depends on the thing and why it concerns me. Does it concern me because it just annoys me? Like it's something I don't do? Or is it like a safety thing? Is it like a value thing, an alignment thing? That would determine how quickly I have to talk about it and how seriously I would approach it. But I definitely recommend talking about it, especially if we're talking about, dating seriously, dating intentionally for marriage and long term commitment. We have to get to a point where we are not afraid to talk about everything. Because if you're thinking about committing your life to someone, what is there that you're not going to end up talking about or experiencing with them? So I think we have to get more comfortable with, I'm going to show up as my authentic self. If I don't agree with something, I am going to talk about it. Now, that doesn't mean you should be abrasive. That doesn't mean you should be accusatory. That doesn't mean you should be demeaning or rude or anything like that. I think you should be a lady at all times. You should be respectful at all times. But you should be able to clearly express yourself and your concerns. And he should be able to receive them and provide clarity. And you all should be able to come to mutual agreements or understandings. Okay, so Shaka said he had that answer. So I'm gonna just revisit and put Bree's question on the screen so we know. So Shaka said, Bree said, what do you think a man should do for a woman to qualify you? What would you respect? Okay, and Shaka said he has that. Okay, he was responding to me. Time in makes sense. Okay, I have that answer. He says, so I have women who would smash but won't show when my shoulder broke. Oh, so you can't get none of me or my time. So that sounds like to me, in order for you to value a woman, you're looking at how she also, shows up for you. How does she invest in you? You're not looking for surface level, which is, hey, we can just be intimate, cool. But where are you when I need assistance, when I need support, right? Where are you? That's a good answer. Thank you. Will you answer too? So, Will, the question is, what should a woman do like to qualify you? What would you respect? I don't know if you already typed your answer. Okay, and Shaka also said you have to be into me as a person. I only have one way to smash, and that's personal and passionate. Yeah, I respect that. I respect that. When I really matured, I got to that point too. Like, what? I don't know how to be willy-nilly, and nah, I don't know how to be impersonal about it. So that's not something I can willy-nilly do, right? I respect that. So yeah, yep, I respect that. Okay, Kalandra, you said thanks. Had an interaction with someone that surprised me and was hurtful and needed to address it. Have let too much time pass without saying anything. Well, I mean, if it's still on your mind and you still interact with this person, you can always still bring it up. I think it is better. It's preferable when you can do it closest to the offense, not because you're on a timeline, but if it's really something you want this person to address or change, giving them the best situation to do that within is when it's closest to the offense, because they can more easily recollect it. They're not as far removed from it. So that's really the reason why. And on your behalf, you don't want to be carrying it around. You don't want to build up resentment. You don't want to start creating narratives in your head about it without giving the person the opportunity to clarify. So you can still say something, right? Okay, so Will says, I have to see and feel that you are your authentic self. Deanna had my attention at the start. Her authentic self got my interest. And you know what is very important to say about that? Will and I have discussed this before. And when we met each other, neither one of us were looking for a relationship, looking to remarry, none of that, right? We were just on our healing journeys. We were like, improving ourselves, loving on ourselves. But we both were in a place where we had made the decision. We weren't hiding who we were. We had experiences where we couldn't completely be ourselves, or we didn't feel comfortable to because of the situations. And we both were at a place where it's like, this is me, right? I'm going to show up how I am. Whereas in previous situations, we may have hid things. I remember when we went on our first like date, like out to dinner, and I told him, like, hey, I have had gastric bypass surgery. So my stomach is this small. So I literally eat portions like a toddler, right? I don't want to be embarrassed about ordering food and not being able to finish it. So I kind of just wanted to tell you about that. And he was like, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much for sharing that with me. Don't ever worry about like wasting food or not finishing food. Like, order what you want, no problem." In the past, I would not have said that, right? I would have ordered a little appetizer and made something up. I would have been like, "Oh, I ate earlier. I'm not feeling too well." I would have said something. I wouldn't have wanted to be vulnerable about what I had done. I wouldn't have wanted to share that. But because I was in that place, it was like, okay, I'm just putting it out there. If he's, at obviously when we go on a date, now we're considering like, oh, is this someone that there could be a future with? So I'm just already like, if he's a guy for me, he's going to learn this later. I'm not waiting. I'm just going to say what it is. And if it's not for him, he's going to let me know, and that's fine. Right. So thank you for bringing that up. And Bree says, thanks. Yeah. So Will says, at this point, I would make sure I set the atmosphere of it being a discussion and not a confrontation. That's a good point too. I think when time has passed, it's a little bit easier to do that as well. Yeah, Brie, it was very sweet. I felt very comfortable to say that. And then once he reacted like that, it just opened the floodgates of me feeling like I could be myself. Yeah, Kalandra. Okay, thank you. Will do. I was so upset initially that I contemplated ending our interaction. I haven't seen the person since then, but we have communicated. I'll approach it as a discussion. Um, hmm, hmm. Is there enough there that it does matter, or does it not? Right? Because if you were really upset and contemplated ending the interaction, that sounds more like on the levels of like disrespect, or like, something that you have contempt for. So, yeah, you sit with that. Sit with that and see, is it worth it? Are you going to continue getting to know this person or having more interactions where this could happen again? So it's important for you to say, or has there not been enough investment here? And it maybe is not worth it. So consider that, Kalandra. I told her, don't worry about me finishing first. Adapting to more often having a cup of coffee or cappuccino after my meal so she could take her time. Yeah, that was another point. Like, not only do I eat small portions of food, I have to eat them really, really like slowly. So I thought that was really sweet that he was like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just grab me a cup of coffee and I can drink my coffee while you're still eating. Like, take your time. And I mean, that's what he did in the beginning, and he still does that now. So I was being my authentic self by sharing that. He was being his authentic self with how he responded to it. right? So he didn't make up like, okay, I wanna get in her drawers, so I'm gonna tell her it's cool, and then when I get him, it ain't gonna be cool no more. Nah, he was who he was, and that's who he still shows up as. He still says that same thing to me when we go out to eat out at places now. It's still the same thing. I still eat slow with little kid portions. He still is very patient, does not make me feel bad about it, wraps up the leftovers if we have them. Cool, right? Yeah, Will is the man. He is. So, do you guys have any other questions? Anything looming before I end for this week? This was a cool topic. I'm glad that you guys asked about it. I think it needs to be talked about more, and I'm really going to consider some of the things that I'm hearing about, limiting beliefs and things that you all believe you have to do or believe are a part of the process that don't have to be. Like literally when I tell you all, you know, define love for yourself, define marriage for yourself, define intimacy. Like you make your own rules. What I'm sharing is like guidelines that you can tailor. Okay. So for me, it may have been, we don't live together until we're married. A guideline for you might be, hey, we're not living together until we're engaged. Like you can tailor it to what makes sense to you. I'm not saying do everything the way I did it or that like I have the golden ticket. I'm just sharing what has worked for me, what I've seen in other successful couples, and what I've coached other people to do, and they've had success with it. All right. So thank you guys for showing up, for being so interactive. This was really good. Great input. Y'all are having no more questions. Awesome. Okay. I love you all so much. Please, if you want to get started on your love journey, do so by joining our free Facebook group. Go to Facebook, go to groups, and type in Love Attraction Community. We are the only one. You will see me and my amazing husband on the photo, the cover of the group. Please join us. We have deeper conversations there about relationships. I share different tips and strategies and different things like that. And it's free. And you meet other like-minded individuals that can help you stay on the path, right? And we will be here every Monday, right? I have a new coaching gem. It's a topic-based lesson where I teach a lesson in the beginning of the live, and then the end is Q&A. So you can ask questions about the lesson, or it's kind of a free-for-all. It's the only way for you to get some free coaching in essence. So show up every Monday, right? 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And please remember, right? God is love. We are of God. So, hold on. Bree, my biggest limiting belief is not having a lot of money. But the more I come to terms that my income isn't as important as how soft I've become. Yeah, I mean, really, your money should only matter that much if you plan on providing, right? Are you going to be the provider in the relationship? Do you want a 50-50 relationship? So your earning does really matter. I understand like when you're single, you want to earn a good living and, do things for yourself. And that makes sense. But when we're talking about, preparing for a relationship, don't be limited by that. I think that's a great conclusion that you've come to. Like your softness is an extreme asset. And I would be willing to bet that the softer you get, the more the money's actually going to flow to you, right? Look at that. I didn't even see this. I didn't even see it when I said it. The money is starting to flow in my favor. It's the feminine flow of money. I did a live on that. All right. Good night, Bree. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. God is looking at your faith to bless you, not your bank bank account. Amen. Okay, Will. All right. So please remember, God is love. We are of God. So attracting love should be easy, especially when you have me as your guide. So I will see you all next week. I love you all.